Greetings, and welcome to Project Pandora. I am Darkling, and this is, of course, Ark Survival Evolved. As you can see in the background, we have completed the shell structure at the bottom for the teleporter system, and we've also created the stem to actually hold the main support of the base, as well as done the first expansion outwards, which is technically a inverted roof. At least it should look like that once it's completed. So from here we will need to continue building upwards, and we'll have to test how high we can build from here before we lose touch with the foundations below. So stick with us and hopefully enjoy the vid. Okay, so for the first part today we're going to test the height that we can work to. Now my approximations of how big the base is going to be require 4 XL walls high. So if we can build to that height, so I can hold that much. I've got some ceilings on me that'll work. If we can build that high, we're going to have no problems at all. Now there is a certain height that you lose touch with the foundations, so we've just got to make sure that we don't breach that amount. Now I may end up making this a little bit taller in the long run, but I think the 4 XLs should be about right. Okay, well, I can't just place one on top of the other, it's way too tall. Now, one of the things with using a creature to place items is they actually have a much further place ability than if you're just using a player. Sometimes it's just a matter of getting the right angle to actually be able to look at it. It's not always where you expect it to be. Now I could continue building this upwards with just that one wall, but when I actually go to start snapping when I actually go to start snapping, it's when we're going to see the problem. See, it's got the requires nearby foundation support. So what I need to do is find out what the lowest point is that I can build to. Hopefully it's not too high. Okay, so that is my highest point. And that is unfortunate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So about 9. I got counting wrong, but 9 is about right. So I may have to trim a couple of levels to make sure this is going to work, because I do still need to be able to place a few things above that height. This is one of the unfortunate things about building at height, is you start to encounter problems that you never knew existed. It makes me wonder if I should have actually built the structure down a little bit further. Now I'm going to have to do some extra calculations. I need about 46 walls height to get roughly what I was thinking of building. So 4 XL walls, that should bring us up to I'm terrible at maths, especially this early in the morning. 3 walls will take us up to 36. And the 10 walls on top of that, so it's not actually going to fit quite the size that I was thinking. So I may have to make some adjustments in the process. Should be interesting, but we'll live and learn and make adjustments as we go. Okay, so we might actually have to measure out each section from there. So I wanted a 4 high section for, that's 1, 2, 4. Now I'm going to start using admin fly on this just to speed this up because I've found that problem. I need to work out a few more details. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That'll be storage. 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I'm just going to possibly put a breeding area in there. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so significantly smaller than originally planned. So what I may end up doing is actually dropping some of the build out so it's not as elongated. Now that may actually seem like quite a large distance, but for what I was actually planning, it's really not. I'm actually considering whether or not I should drop this section down. If I dropped it down, I could lose two large walls out of that, and that would bring me down and allow another 8 on top. I feel like that might be the way to go. However, if I do that, I won't be doing it on camera. You guys have already seen the process of actually doing that construction, so you don't need to repeat it. So I think that might be the way to go, is to actually drop this down. It's really unfortunate, but I need to be able to stay in contact with those foundations so that I can continue the build as planned. So as you can see, I have quickly adjusted the height of bottom. I now have the 4XL walls placed, and I can place up to just shy of the end of the 4th. So I can still remain connected. If I try and put it on the top one, I get the foundation support. So the initial height of 46 that I was planning, I'm going to trim that back down a little bit. Might be a little bit problematic with some of the things that I had originally planned. I was going to use some round numbers in my build, but I'm going to shave them back a little bit. But no matter, we'll work around it. Now I've finished doing that, I can lose the admin fly. Now this was lowered by 8 walls, so the 2 large. I got it back to exactly as we had it, but as you can see, it is a little bit closer to the ground than it was. I would have preferred that larger gap, but we've got to work with what we have. It doesn't seem like such a large spire as I would have liked, which is really unfortunate, but we're going to build and we're going to find out what happens. So we can lose this central piece now because I really don't need it. Fall down. And what we're going to need to do is fill in the blanks. So for the first section, it's going to be about 8 walls high before we actually expand outwards. So first things first, we're going to need to grab some more walls. Now I'm going to make the supporting walls in the corners. So because of that, I'm going to need just regular walls. So we're going to grab a stack of those. Use that. That looks like more than I can carry, so I'll lose some more. And lose these ceilings. It's unfortunate when I need to make as big a design change as has happened, but it's best to test and do it now before I finish most of the base, get up there and realize I can't actually finish the base. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got 2 more in the corner there. Looks about right. Now, like I said, I will use just regular walls to build this up in the corners. Now, I probably don't need to do it on all of these corners, but because of the height that I'm expanding to, it's just easier working with the regular walls rather than the large walls. I'll probably make the window structures out of glass and use large walls. I'm pretty sure that the foundation issue is a render problem, so the foundations are starting to leave render distance. I have built quite tall before. It's the first time I've actually built a structure where the initial top layer I've put into place has lost the render, but the issue here is a lot of the height was lost underwater. Because we had to level to reach the water, well, at least the surface of, that's where it all disappeared. Not that there was a lot under the water, but it all adds up. Pretty sure that's the height I was going for. Oh, I missed that corner. Like I said, you can just build from the back of a creature, you get that extra range, which is really quite handy. The only thing is you have to worry about zooming in and out from the other structures, which is a little bit disorientating. Okay, so that height should encompass both the kitchen and the library. I would have liked to have gone up further for this initial part. I wanted this a little bit thinner. I actually wonder if I should make this... I think I might. I think I might actually make this level a little bit thinner. Because I want it to be thin and then taper out to a large size. Now this is the design process that people most wanted to see, is when I encounter problems or actually start to put things up and find that it doesn't work the way I want it to, as to what I do from there. Because I've done such big builds in the past, some of the builds have taken quite a long time because you're gathering resources, and that's one of the reasons why I tend to, where I can, actually build the resources before I actually start the construction part. This is taking too long, I'm just going to cut it off at the bottom. Okay, so this is actually quite good because it also means that the outer part around here is going to end up too wide, so that gives us a nice balcony. Like I said on the previous video, I'm going to run a line of glass around the outside, so it should really add to that. Okay, so let's put that one in. Oh, was that too? Oh, that's right. It's funny, when I did the rebuild of lowering it down off camera, I say camera, everything went without a hitch. Took me maybe 5 minutes to do. It took me a lot longer when we were recording it, but that's the brakes. This is a more reasonable size. Why did it push me under there? Is this something to do with the quets? And I am well aware that quets is actually not pronounced quets, it's actually Quetzal. But I really don't care. I've always called it a quets. So, open the corners. Speed this up a little bit. Okay. Whoops, that is the wrong place. This guy's getting in the way now. Oh no, that wasn't the right place. I'm an idiot. Now that did not snap right. It's around the wrong way. Now, I'm not going to encounter some of the problems that can occur when you're tower building. I am planning a tutorial video, which by the time you actually watch this will probably be out. When you're building a tower, there's a few issues that you've got to take into account. Could have sworn the Quetzal could move backwards when it's on the ground. Really weird. When you're building towers, if you're using the large or XL walls, you'll encounter a few problems. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In the fact that you can only snap triangles to one side of the structure. I'm not sure what the cause of this is, whether it's by design or if it was a mistake. I believe it was by design. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe it's a difficult thing to actually manage in the mod. I'm not one to really comment the modding side of things. Everybody seems to think that it's a really easy process, but especially when you're dealing with snap points, it's rather troublesome. I've seen reports from multiple mod authors about how painful the actual snapping can be. People really get on the mod authors' cases about it. It's really unfortunate. Ah man, I'm short like 2. Go figure. Oh wait, do I have some more in my... I do. Okay, so if I've counted right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, that looks right. So that is my kitchen and my library sorted. I don't have any other tiles on me, so grab some. From here I will actually expand outwards. So I'm trying to make it so that it starts out thin and expands outwards. Now I'll be doing some pretty big steps out, so each layer gets incrementally more, God, I don't even know if I pronounce that word right, wider than the one below it. I can carry more than that. Use the broken stuff. I'll actually put it all on the Quetzal. Yeah, I would have liked that twice as high before I actually stepped it out, but we'll work with what we've got. No. Oh no, I took ceilings last, walls would be best. Plenty of weight on them. So I'll be stepping the walls, stepping everything outwards. Now the question is, do I do it on this? Yeah, I'll actually lose one of the outside. Won't make sense if I'm trying to explain it. Take some of those. That should do us. It'll be interesting to see how this base comes out, because it's definitely not going to look like I had originally planned. See if I can land this guy on the outside. Awesome. Use this one. Oh, I don't see why I did that. I'm actually going to need to get up there. So, actually, no. First, I'm going to put the lower floor in. I need you for that. Okay, so the kitchen area is going to have, oh, higher than that. Next one first. That one. Yes. Now, there is going to be a basement to the kitchen that has the beer barrels, but I'll be adding that a little bit later. What I want first is the main shaft of the build done. Click on that one. Trying to save myself time. I think I'm actually creating more work. I'll be using tech elevators to get between the levels here. I'll probably have, yeah, I'll probably use tech down there as well, just so that I can get up and down the levels. There is going to be the tech elevator to get up to the main levels for actual dinos going up. I'm actually wondering if I should have glass down the center of the shaft. I think that might look quite good. Now, thinking about this, I'm actually doing this in a way that, oh no, stepping out doesn't matter. Now, the thing to keep in mind when you're stepping a build out, especially if you use any kind of scaffold or anything like that, is that you'll need to put the wall below to get the snap that you want. Now, you might be able to tell that I'm actually standing on the Quetzal wing. Not the best building location, but sometimes it'll get you a little bit further. I should do it. So I may end up using a bit more glass than I thought. Hopefully I've spawned in enough. Hoping not to have to top up the storage very often. Whoops. Well, that did not help. Just gonna fly up there. Oops. No, that didn't work. Wrong button for the air brakes, that's always good. Now, the question is, can I fall? Yep. Watch, I'll need to get right back up there soon. Okay, so that's the height of the library, and we're going to do the first step out. Now I think this step out is going to be a single. Should make things taper ever so slightly. Now I would have done this originally as a double, but because I've actually made this wider already than the first plan that I had actually considered. I'm going to start out with a slightly smaller amount. I'm trying to plan this in my head as I go, as to how things are going to go together. I'm going to need maybe half a stack of those, then half a stack of those. Now, if anybody didn't notice what I did there, if you actually catch the wing at the right time, you can see that it says ride. It's a great way to mount a Quetzal when you're just a little bit off the ground. It's the 4 slot. And I use that trick that I was showing you before, just to place from above. I've noticed a lot of people when they're placing these, they actually do it from the bottom. Ideally, it is probably a better place to be, but it's not always feasible when you're doing projects like this. I will go through and fill in some of the gaps. When I say some of, I mean all of them. Because I'm placing them like this, there's going to be a space in between each. But it should place a lot easier because these ones are already in place. But I'm going to have to do some monkey snapping, well, scaffold snapping to get things right anyway. Hopefully I don't sound too boring. I could put on the voice like a lot of the YouTubers do and go do everything all in an excited voice, but I'm just keeping it real. This is how I talk to other people when I'm on Discord or whatnot. I don't tend to get too excited unless we're up to mischief, trolling each other or whatnot. I'm actually thinking about bringing some guest builders in. There's a few people I know that do building themselves. I might get them in for certain parts of projects. I'm not sure I'm going to do it for this one. I feel like maybe I should do my first build completely solo. There's those of you out there that don't actually know my builds. It's really not going well. Snap to the opposite, yes. So that's one of the reasons why my intro video for all my tutorials was as long as it was. They recommend that when you're doing YouTube videos that your intro is about 7 to 9 seconds long, I think it was. Mine's about 30, but I kept it long because the intro music I wanted was about 25 to 30 seconds, and I wanted to showcase some of the builds I've done so that when you guys see the tutorials you don't just say, well, this guy doesn't know what he's on about. You can see that I've done some interesting builds prior to that. Another one of the reasons I want to get one of these builds out of the way and completed, so I've got something on my own channel to show people if they want to see something I've done. At the moment I've only got the tour vids from Mazion. I mean, I could go back through and record my own little tours of some of my bases, but I don't really want to rehash things. Yeah, I'd rather just link his videos in if you guys want to go and see them. Okay, so from here we're going to have to do below, because I need to drop some walls off. So I think, where are we? Can I snap something from here? I can't even see it. Okay, I'm just going to use fly to get up to that second level. Oops. Stuff, I'll leave it on for now. What I'm going to do is just make a little outcropping. And then I'll go up here. Now when I'm doing this on a server, I'll have a lot more ramps on me, so it's easier to get between levels. So need many of these I can carry. Ooh, need to fall out that far. Okay, so we'll fill in this. Like I said, these should place quite easily. Should. Ah, try and snap to the opposite and it snaps back there again. There we go. Okay, so I need to put my hotbar, and I'm going to run some ceilings around here. There's a scaffold. I will probably consider it wasted material and just drop it off, but I need to be able to access the bottom half of this. Now I could do this with fly, it would be a lot quicker, but some of the techniques that I use for working underneath structures might be useful to some of the newer builders. I'm really glad I found the problem with the push to mute button that I couldn't get to work in earlier videos. Tell you what, trying to talk when you've got a frog in your throat. Can't really clear your throat on video. Okay, that's all the ones I've got on me. So, just going to nip back to the start. I'm going to start putting the lower snaps in. Now I could probably get away with not doing this, but I don't know quite what I'm doing on the insides. If I don't do it and I end up needing to run some walls on the inside, then it's not going to line up properly. So I'd rather do it now. Great, I should have put those in place first. Getting ahead of myself. the opposite. Oh, of course you're going to snap in a funny place. Like I said, if I was doing this on a server, I would just run a line of ramps as temporarily to connect the levels, or perhaps put a tech elevator in there now. Thankfully I have the ability to add infinite stats and God on here. The amount of times that I fall off buildings and end up falling to my death. Okay. Oops. I'll run fast enough that I fall off the edge. Yeah, I can actually track certain builds by how many times I died. The center map build that I built over on that shore over there, I think I died 6 times in the construction. I died more times afterwards, jumping off certain parts to see if I could land in the water or whatnot, because you got to do it. You know, you want to take shortcuts down from your base. Where can you jump to? What can you survive? Yeah, I do a lot of that. I like taking shortcuts. A lot of my base builds have hidden corridors and things to help get through the build faster, or at least where nobody else can see you. Okay, so now I can snap on the top. I'm just jumping around, I might have to do this from the top. But again, I'm just gonna right up there. Got one in place, I can see. Okay, so that was in the wrong place. Oops. It's the height point. Now, some of these may get replaced with, oops, with glass or whatnot. I will come back and adjust those. At the moment, I'm just trying to get structure in place. If you're anything like me, you're probably building while you're watching this. That was how I used to watch the YouTube videos that I did watch. I used to watch the Pooping Evolved guys while I was playing. Most of them were tamers. There wasn't many episodes where they were doing all the builds, and I was kind of disappointed because I enjoy the build side of things a lot more. But I've noticed there's a rather lack of pure building kind of videos out there. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of tutorials and people who do the Let's Plays do building videos, but there's no pure builds. Now, this base will probably never ever get played from, although I've had a few ideas that I've had people suggest to me doing Patreon. Oh, that's right, there's no walls below there. Yeah, I've had people suggest to me to do Patreon and... Whoop! What did you just do? Thank you very much, you almost knocked me off. If I did do Patreon, I would actually take some of these builds and offer them as part of the I want to say prize, the rewards, but we'll see what happens. I have to wait and see if people like the videos. I mean, there's a chance that I'll record all these and we'll get no response at all. There's plenty of people out there that are watching the tutorials already, but I don't know how well a series of building is going to go. Not seen anybody else do one, so I'd be interested to see how this actually pans out. Now I can actually remove some of these ones that have now already got the walls in place. I'll move a little bit forward. Being on a moving platform. Oh, of course you did. Really not going to waste the time doing this one. Snapping on the inside. If I shoot the wall out, I'm going to have to fix the wall. It's just easier to. Oops. It's getting a bit dark now. I might just do a set time of day. Got that in here somewhere. Now you might notice that somewhere in my logs there is quite possibly the password for the server. It's not going to do you any good. Go down. So feel free to note it down. All it is dark domain. That is the tribe name that I normally use. I was hoping it was going to pop me out the side. I'll just go up here. So let me know in the comments if you do think Patreon would be a good idea. Because if I do it, I will release some of my save games. This particular save has all my tutorial videos. You can actually see some of the things in the distance as we move around. Okay. So down there is all the PvE walls. Behind those are the columns. Now on the shore over there you can see a little piece of the battlements and the very cheap funhouse. The funhouse that I actually built for the intros for my tutorials, it wasn't designed to be flash looking. Like, there are plenty of flaws with it. As a builder, I normally wouldn't let myself get away with that kind of work. I would put a little bit more effort into it, but for the purpose that I was using it, it worked very well. I could have sworn. Yeah. Pretty sure there's another one missing. You get it? I must have gotten it. Okay, I can always come back and get it if it does turn out to be missing. Went a bit further than I expected. So I'm just going to lose that whole section. Picking it up's all well and good, but it'll take a while. Okay. So now I've got the first step out completed. From the inside I'll have to just put some extra walls in just to hide the inside of that structure. I don't know why this guy isn't walking backwards. I could have sworn they used to. I'll make it challenging to get out of here now. Very challenging apparently. So I don't have time to mess around with this. You guys don't want to see me fly around in circles for a while. Okay, so that's the first step out. Now, the level above the library is going to be crafting. Now, that was going to be 10. It's going to have to be cut back down to 9 just to make sure. Oh, I've actually got some walls on me. I can do some of that now. Yeah, it was going to get cut, put up to 10, but it's just not going to work out. Oh, there it is. So, come on. No, one more. Actually, that was a little bit too high. Do it on that one. Okay. I like to keep a little bit of a pattern when I'm doing this so that when I go back to touch things up, I have a rough idea as to where I put some of the structural pieces. Oh, also I'm out of them anyway. Any more on him? Yes, I do. Now, once we get to... See, this is the crafting level. To be honest, this doesn't actually need to be 8 high. I think I might actually chop this down a little bit. I mean 9. The storage area has to be higher because I need to fit a dino in there. But I think for the actual crafting level I can get away with a lot smaller. I want it to be relatively large because I can put a industrial forge in here. It'll fill the room quite a lot, but might end up sticking the industrial forge in one of the towers. I'll make sure that this is 8 high, probably at the minimum. That way I can put a replicator in here. I don't like the tech replicator. It is a massive structure, it is bulky. I would like to see them cut it down to maybe half of what it is. Okay, so that's at least a start on that. Now let's see, that's crafting 8. What have we got on us? Okay, so I can actually start on some of this. Now if I'm building it to that size, that's the spot I want. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump out to there. Now, when you hop off a quetz, it is going to run off on you. So what you can do, this guy's set to maximum follow distance. So if you just set it to follow something, you or another dino, it won't run off while you're off it, as long as you're within the distance. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to place a wall there before I place that one in. The reason I'm going to do that is I want to make sure that it's snapping to the lower snap point. Oops. And it's much easier to do if the wall's already in place. I actually do go, I haven't noticed that I do go a little bit slower when I'm recording than when I actually build. Obviously when I'm not recording. But I do tend to stop and look at my work a lot more when I'm not recording. I'll just stand here and go, is this right, for a little while. I can't really do that while you guys are waiting. I'm sure you'll get frustrated with that. Okay, so I've got that height. I'm going to do a step out again. Now this time I'm actually going to step out twice. So now how am I going to do this? Okay, I'm going to do it on this level. I'm going to make this out to wider and block off some of the lower level. Don't need to be able to see out of any of the higher windows. Well, it's not going to be windows, I'm not going to bother putting them in. Oops, I doubled up on that one. As you can see from how small the golem is down there, we are actually quite a height already. Doubled up again. Now you will go through a lot of tiles doing builds like this. Let me ride you. Okay. Now we should get a little bit of a idea as to how things are going to look. So far it's not too bad. Oh, there's too many. I'm hoping that those of you that are actually watching this are going to say to yourself, I could do that better. I don't like the way you did whatever it is you don't like, and you go away and try something yourself. See, that's what this is all about. The whole process is I want you guys to see the video and decide to go ahead and try something better than what you saw. That would make my day. I'm not doing this for the show-off value of I can build this, you can't. I want you guys to build this. I want you guys to do it better than me. You need to take what you saw and build something that isn't a box. Because I see a lot of box builds out there, and anybody that knows me knows I do not like box builds. You know, when you're starting out, when you first start playing on a server or whatnot, and you're first getting secure, boxes are fine. But I've seen players that, you know, they've been playing for a long time, they know how to play the game really well, but they still only ever build a little box. And in PvE, you know, the way you build is a lot nicer. You can do a lot more with it, and it doesn't take a lot of effort to make something look interesting. If you take a whole stack, you can make some really interesting boxes, but usually it's, what I see is literally just a 4x4 or sometimes 6x6. Oh, I was gonna say, did I die over there? I don't remember dying. Just a drop. Oops. So I'm going to finish this round, and I think we might finish the video up for this particular video. I was going to say episode, they're not really, I suppose you could call them episodes. as you can see, the less I talk, the faster things get done. I don't want to leave you guys hanging. If I could put music on, I would, but then you start getting the copyright breaches, and I don't have to deal with that. Oops, saw that place under there. I don't know if you saw, you can actually see that the texture goes a little bit funny when you've overlapped the triangle tiles. Okay, so we've got that in place, and I think we're going to leave it at that for this particular video. I'm not sure how close to that hour mark we are, but I think we're a little bit closer than I was planning. Quick gander from afar. So as you can see, we're getting a little bit of a tower-like structure now. It's looking quite good. I quite like the way it's coming so far. So do remember, if you like the video, make sure you hit the thumbs up, subscribe to us, subscribe to me if you want to see the rest of the build. I'm hoping you're enjoying it. Maybe you've got me on mute, maybe you're not actually listening to me, that's fine. As long as you're seeing the building techniques, I think it's all good. There is a link in the description to my Discord, so if you want to join in and ask questions or make suggestions, go right ahead. I do have an area for screenshots if you want to post your own screenshots of what you're building, especially if you've built something inspired by what I build. I would love to see things like that. So take care, and I hope you enjoy your building.